Recently, Jess, or known as Muskina on Twitter, had made essay claims against Ava Chris Tyson in regard to their time spent while she was Ava's PA. In the aftermath following those allegations, Eret, who is Ava's partner now, had a Discord message leaked that was pretty much a message of her going through basically saying that she didn't agree with the framing that Muskina had around her allegations and was essentially questioning the validity of the allegations being brought forth because of those inconsistencies. Quick heads up before the video starts, this is a cut down piece of what I attempted to record live while I was streaming. During this live recording, Muskina actually deleted a few of her tweets pushing back on the claims that Eret had made in the Discord leaked message, and this was due to the fact that Eret had sent an apology to Muskina, which she published. Keep in mind, I had a bit of a bias against Eret after what we had already seen so far, and I just want to make that known because I do end up covering and talking more big picture after seeing that apology and giving a bit more of an objective stance towards the end of the video. So stick around for that. With that being said, enjoy the video. Ava's partner made this, and so we've got a Twitter thread showing all of what they had said. So I'm going to read through that, but for the sake of people that are going to be watching on YouTube, go ahead and pause the video here, read at your own pace, and then we'll get into talking about what was going on. I wanted to talk to you all about my relationship with Ava and everything that has been happening behind the scenes at MrBeast. Beast has asked me not to talk about a lot of this publicly as they're terrified of inflaming a situation that could anger their corporate investors. I would not have introduced her to you guys or my community if I didn't know that she would help us do amazing things. All right, we're priming ourselves to get under the assumption that everything that's said here is true and that whatever happened with Ava between 2016 and 18, like, you know, having a print of a Shadman art in their room is not indicative of who they are now. Cool. Let's find out. Ava, my partner and MrBeast cast member, was recently on the receiving end of a couple of coordinated attack videos that suggested that Ava had groomed a minor. They're putting quotes around that because it wasn't just one minor, it was multiple. The video detailed the story of LavaGS, one of Ava's old Discord mods who would go on to get a job at Beast. I like that they said incredibly regrettable tweets and posts. That is understating it. Firstly, I want to say I do not stand by any of Ava's past actions or behaviors, but I want you guys to have full context that explains the gross looking screenshots. The Discord server where Lava would eventually become a mod started as a Discord for Ava to play CSGO with 5 of her adult friends. These friends invited their friends and the server grew as online communities do. However, it was also 2016. Filthy Frank eating vomit cake and SJW owned compilations were the pinnacle of humor. Okay, Lava came to Ava offering to help set up bots on the Discord and Ava accepted. Ava did not know that Lava was a minor. Lava addresses this on his Twitter that I previously linked. Shortly after Ava learned that Lava was a minor, she decided to fully delete the Discord because she realized that it was not a positive influence and wanted to leave that part of her life behind. Is that why they called it the Great Cleansing? Is that why all the other minors took part in helping clean it up? He worked there for 9 months. In that time, Ava only ever met him in person when she was on set at the studio or if Lava was helping on a shoot. There was never any inappropriate interaction between them, short of the few gross jokes made in a public Discord. I believe that the camper story about how Lava had gone to visit Ava wasn't true and it was kind of spun in a weird way. This part specifically about Lava never meeting Chris in person, at least to my knowledge, we don't have proof of that actually happening. I feel like this is probably one of the very few points that I can like corroborate against what we've known and the evidence we've been presented so far. Ava bought a print from an NSW edgy Twitter artist called Shadman. I haven't seen the pic myself, but I'm not going to seek it out. But so many of the YouTubers she looked up to at the time, PewDiePie, Oni Plays, Zach Hadel, who would go on to create Smiling Friends, were friends with him or at least engaged with Shad's content. I think it's crazy to compare Ava's interactions with Shadman to PewDiePie or Zach Hadel or any other person like MrBeast, but weren't asking for, you know, Shadman to make lolly of, I don't know, sibling children in Gravity Falls, for instance. So I think that's a pretty unfair comparison to make. It almost seemed like certain people could get away with saying and doing gross or terrible things under the premise that it's an edgy joke, you're too normie to get it. I just want to push back on this a little bit. It's not that, you know, they were getting away with it simply because they said it's an edgy joke that you're too normie to get. They got away with it because usually these jokes were directed at adults and they were doing it in an adult to adult situation, not making these kinds of comments and edgy jokes to minors in a sexual way. Crazy. I don't think that's necessarily a fair thing, including who I've talked about before. When Jimmy made the comments that he did in the podcast, where he made some pretty nasty remarks in regard to that Dr. Phil Catch Me Outside girl, again, he was doing it with a group of adults. I don't agree with the joke, don't think it was funny, but to be fair to him, that was that era and it was around adults. So Ava fell for this at the time and made a decision to buy the print that I know sickens herself today. Shadman would go on to develop serious drug addictions and started to increasingly draw NSFW art depicting minors. minors. Let's not make it seem like he wasn't making NSFW minor art before this drug addiction had started, and that Ava didn't clearly ask at least, I think, 3 times, including Caillou, the Gravity Falls characters, and there was one more. I can't remember it. You guys, I'm sure will know. I've seen some people claiming that Ava commissioned the art from Shadman, but this is not true. Ava bought a print from a link on his Twitter page. Should she have done that? No. Does she regret it? Yes. Does that make it right? No. But do I... Sorry. I admit, I think I also said that Ava had commissioned it, like that was the alleged claim. So I walk that back. Rather, instead of, directly commissioning it, Ava took a step down the ladder in terms of absolutely fucking creepy, and instead of directly commissioning Shadman, went onto his Twitter page to purchase a piece of art that was showing a minor in a, explicit manner. My bad. I apologize for that one. You know why? Sorry, I'm going again. You know why she regrets it? Because she got caught. I normally don't have this much like venom when I'm doing videos and stuff, so I apologize if it comes off a bit more biased. I think I do for sure have one at this point with what has come out and this kind of like blatant, debunking attempt that's just painting people in a bad light, like other big content creators, like comparing them to the actions of Ava. Don't agree with that. I don't really like this. She would never make that same mistake. She made it like a few times, but all right. What more can she do to allow her to move on from her past mistakes? Don't be a part of a company that has a large presence of children watching. Crazy. That's off the top of my dome. If you guys got other ideas, let me know. During this time, Jess is living in Ava's house so that she wouldn't have to pay for rent elsewhere. She would have had rent free in one of the apartments at the, MrBeast company in that area. Or so, I believe so, based off one of the tweets that Jess had put out. And Ava is paying for everything. Jess professed her love to Ava a few times, and Ava had responded that she sees her like a sister and wants nothing romantic. I didn't know that it was a sisterly thing to do to like provide oral. This is a crazy amount of service being done on behalf of Jess, just, to help another transgender person out by allowing them to live with you, by going on these trips with them, and then being repeatedly told that they're in love with you and saying, you're more like a sister, and that's like, okay, and you don't cut things down there. But we're not here to argue about their inability to focus or make decisions in regard to how to healthily work through something like this. There's already been an ongoing third-party HR investigation at Beast for a couple weeks regarding Jess. However, as MrBeast has been under so much pressure recently, they don't want anyone to say anything publicly in case it causes more things to flare up online. Ooh, a little late for that, huh? These accusations hitting directly after that whole project got destroyed made the investors terrified, and they basically forced Jimmy to kick Ava out as they considered her guilty until proven innocent. Did they see the Discord logs? They should have seen the Discord log. I respond, yeah, I really wish you had let me help you with the first tweet. Jimmy then replied, yeah, we did kind of mess up the first one. I'll say this does kind of sound true. Like based off of how Jimmy's been handling all this, that kind of, allegedly sounds true. After those tweets were put out, MrBeast high-ups have been telling us not to say anything publicly as they're terrified of more stories spinning out of control. Kind of like this one right now. And this is Jess. I appreciate the apology and the short conversation we had. All I ever want from people who have wronged me is an apology and acknowledgement. Eret is a good person who is in a very difficult position. I hope people can forgive them just like I have and move on. Let's take a look at this. So this is Eret to Jess as of like an hour or so ago. Hi Jess, firstly I'd like to apologize. I'm sorry that I talked about you so negatively in the message I sent to my staff. I thought what I thought I knew myself would be sufficient. I was wrong. In the past few days, it has become very apparent that I do not know the full details of anything. I made multiple mistakes and I'm incredibly remorseful for those inaccuracies. It was not my place to comment on any of this, but I rely on my staff team, and when some of them came to me with concerns, I felt it was my responsibility to speak to them with as much transparency as possible with what I understood to be the truth at the time. I acted from a state of stress, burnout, and having had little sleep over the past few weeks. I say this not to make excuses, but to share why I made missteps that I'd wish I had never taken. I cannot take back the pain I caused you, but I hope you can understand that there is no malicious intent from me. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know. Thank you. I didn't read that before starting the stream. I went into that understanding that maybe they were trying to make an attack on the character or the essay claims that Muskina had brought up. It doesn't seem that they are discrediting that. If anything, they are corroborating in a sense that they were wrong about multiple things. They came out with a full apology saying that they don't know like much of anything about this situation, even being Ava's partner right now. I'm gonna have to probably make an intro for the video. I went into this with the bias that they were, trying to target Muskina and discredit them, but I'm led to believe that that's probably not a fair take. I take back any thoughts that maybe this was like directed intentionally to discredit Muskina, but was solely based off of what they held to be true. So I see somebody saying sorry, then following it immediately with excuses, blatantly obvious excuses at that it's not an apology. I agree. Like that part isn't an apology. I don't think that it is okay as an apology, but that's That's a small piece of, you know, being forthright about everything else. Let's not act like in a situation like this, let's say like best faith take. Eret is not informed about these things, you know, wasn't told to say it any which way like this. If you had these kind of like emotions running through you and this kind of situation with that kind of stress, it makes it easier to have high intense emotions. I don't think that that's a crazy take. I think that that's fair. I don't think it justifies what's going on, but I don't blame them for bringing it up. This is a lot to admit you're wrong to, especially in the face of being Ava's partner. To say I was wrong about debunking your SA claims or a lot of information in regard to them, to apologize and say I was wrong about that while you're their partner, pretty intense. Because it's taken so long for me to edit this, I've got another update. Muskina makes another Twitter post following up after everything, saying Eret owned up to writing the Discord message, but is now claiming that in reality, I am outside of the situation and the statement you highlighted comes with no factual backing. I believed it to be accurate at the time, but it was mainly an assumption. Now, this is referencing a very specific thing that was leaked in Eric's message. This is that highlighted part. Beast has asked me not to talk about a lot of this publicly, etc., etc. And then this is what they were saying, what I understood to be the truth at the time. That was in the apology. Here's the new message. I just saw your most recent tweet as I wanted to retweet your post with my apology, yada yada. In reality, I am outside of the situation and the statement you highlighted comes with no factual backing. I believed it to be accurate at the time, but it was mainly an assumption. So Muskina is saying that Eret and MrBeast want us to believe that the MrBeast asked them not to speak publicly because they're terrified of inflaming a situation is something that Eret believed to be true, but never actually happened. So just to be clear, Eret made that apology to Muskina about, you know, trying to debunk some of the inaccuracies in Muskina's statement, said sorry, said they didn't know what was going on in the situation. And then after that, followed up saying that the part about MrBeast saying we can't say things publicly because it'll, you know, flame stuff up, that was the only part that she couldn't say was true. It is strange that the one specific thing happens to be that they don't want any public statement going out. And that's the one thing that Eret is walking back by saying that that wasn't true and having to go out of Eret's way to make that, you know, clear. My take on it is that they were probably reached out to and were asked in hopefully a kindly way to make sure that that was clear, probably by the corporate investors that, you know, don't want this inflaming the situation. So yeah, I just found that interesting. I think it's very clear that the MrBeast company is very much getting involved, including in this situation. I just wanted to keep you guys updated, but there's that. Again, I am reading this as I'm recording this. I didn't really get to take time to really, you know, digest and analyze this apology completely, but off a first glance, it's not just creating excuses. It's not just saying everything that they did was because they were tired and burnt out and high stressed, but was also an admittance of, hey, I genuinely, clearly don't know to the degree that you do what's going on, and I apologize for jumping the gun. I'll see you guys later. Adios, bye. And I'm like,